The Ministry of Education has put parents on notice that it plans to seek out school-age children who have been forced to seek employment because of the COVID-19 pandemic and the closure of schools. Subject Minister Priya Manickchand led the charge on Monday as schools across the country reopened its doors to grades 10, 11 and 12. She said once these children are found, the ministry intends to have them return to the school environment where they rightfully belong. Schools across Guyana have been closed since March when Guyana recorded its first case and death of COVID-19. Manickchand had reported a 60% turnout of students across 5 regions and said while the ministry supports parents who have chosen to keep their children at home, it will be investigating the circumstances.
The data internationally suggests some very frightening details, such as that the longer children stay out of school, the more likely we are to suffer from serious learning loss, the more likely we are to suffer from dropouts, the more likely it is that this cohort of students will be affected for the rest of their lives economically, and be disadvantaged. And we're trying to prevent that as much as possible. The turnout today, therefore, does not surprise me. It's something we're going to look at very carefully.
The world have shown that longer children stay out of school, they are more likely to suffer from learning loss and becoming dropouts. She acknowledged that under any circumstance, this cohort of students currently affected by the COVID-19 pandemic will be affected for the rest of their lives. Manickchand would not say to what extent this has occurred, but she promised to approach parents who have kept their children at home to provide answers.
To parents, we gave several options. We said you can keep your children home, and not send them if you're uncomfortable with sending them to school. You can get transfers for your children because secondary schools are limited and not as abundant and as primary schools. So most secondary children have to travel. And if you want to go to a secondary school close to your home, we would do the transfers, and we do that within hours. So we would facilitate that, or you could come back out to schools. So there were many options on the table.
Since the closure of schools, about 55% of children have been academically engaged across the country through a blended approach to teaching. Even with schools reopened, that blended approach continues. Kurt Campbell, Newsroom.